Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We will be continuing the Fysetc Venture XL build. We did the frame in the last video where we attached the bottom of the frame, which is where the heated beds will sit. Everything else is done when it comes to the frame. As you saw in the previous videos, we are going to move on to 2.2 Z motor and tensioner assembly. So you can see that's the guide we'll be following. Again, the wiki guide, which you'll find a link in the description for. So let's go ahead and get started. We have this piece here, which all these CNC parts were found in box number 2 under the heated bed and the build plate. It was the second tray underneath because there's like multiple trays under there of the foam. So it's right under the build plate in box number 2. Instead of using the bearings, how they have you create the pulleys, I bought actual assembled pulleys with the bearings built in there. Again, all this stuff, huge shout out to Fabrico. They didn't sponsor any of this, but as I was adding things, removing things, and making modifications per request from other folks that have already built it, I decided to go ahead and eliminate the bearings and go with a solid pulley instead. Some of the pulleys that were supposed to be smooth with the bearings, by a better suggestion from a few folks, I went with the cogged ones that I'll show you here. You can kind of see that they have for the belt, so it just eliminates slippage and everything else. It'll be much more precise. So those are some modifications that I made, that I chose to make based off of suggestions from other folks that had already built it. So let's go ahead and get started. We already have these. We have both the CNCs, and let's see. So it wants us to grab one of these. These are the 5x14 shoulder screws. Again, very nicely labeled, very easy to find. So we take this, put this back here like this, and put this in here. And I would probably need wrenches. Those nice LDO wrenches from before. There we go, we got the wrenches now. We're all set. Let's see what size wrench we're dealing with here. I'm gonna guess 2.5. Nope, it's a 3. Yep. 3 millimeter for these shoulder bolts. Nope, these shoulder bolts, correction, these shoulder bolts are going to be out here, so that's in the next step. I grabbed the wrong shoulder bolts here. We have M4x16 socket head cap screws, which are going to hold that down for this first step here. Got a little bit ahead of myself. let's see, yep, these are still the 3mm wrench. We'll go ahead and set this on here. So it looks like you tighten it all the way down. Take out the CNC parts. First use it to fix it and then use the shoulder bolt to fix it through the bearing. Shows in the figure. So this looks like it gets locked all the way down. And again, you are going into aluminum, so definitely would not overscrew those. We're going to do each one. And I'm debating if I put Loctite in here to hold it down. I might throw a little bit of Loctite in there. So I'm going to take those, I'm going to take these out, and I'm going to throw some Loctite in there before I get to the other point to where we got to put all the bearings and such on. Again, I'm not going to use a ton of Loctite. I just as a little tiny safety precaution, we'll just use a tiny little bit here. Okay, there's one. Move that over there so we know it's done. It also says on the wiki, it says, note, this bearing can be replaced with a timing belt idler pulley. So that's exactly what I did, is I replaced it. And the ones, it looks like they include some that already have the teeth on it. It looks like that maybe might have been a revision for from the requests and suggestions from other folks that I had read and talked to. So it looks like that they had went ahead and actually already changed some of it. So Again, don't want to get too much Loctite on there, just enough to where it's gonna hold it a little bit. It being CNC aluminum, just a little bit of extra security because there's quite a bit of vibration with the printing stuff. The least amount of variables, the better. So they give you plenty of screws. You know, there's 2 extra. And those ones that we just used were the M4x16, the socket head cap screws. So everything is extremely well labeled. I'm really happy about that. So now that we have that, we're going to need the nylon gaskets, the 4x7x2 nylon gaskets, which are the only little rubber ones in there. Rubber, nylon, whatever. Plastic of some kind. So we got this one. And what I'm noticing is the notch. The notch has 2 that the big hole is towards the notch. And there's 2 that the big hole is away from the notch. Okay, so that's probably top, left, right, front, back, whatever. It probably correlates to that somehow, and I'm guessing that this sits in the extrusion, this little notch. If I were to just guess that that's what that is for. So let's grab one of these. The nylon gasket. Okay, first, actually, it's so if you pay attention to the thing, we got to find one with the big. Okay, so right here, this is the first illustration. The big notch is away from this notch. Okay, so we take this, and again, now we're back to the shoulder screw. 3mm. It looks like it's going to be a little difficult to get this in there. Sure. Might not even fit with this. Oh, maybe. Nope. It doesn't even look like it's going to fit with the replacement. So the bearing, even though it says that it can be replaced, let's see if these other ones are a little bit different. Yep, they are definitely a little bit different. So there's a tiny little bit that it opens up. So let's see if this works now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these out. They give you this nice little toolkit, which is kind of nice, which has these right here, these like little pliers, little tweezers. Those are like modified tweezers. These are like regular tweezers that they give you, and then they give you a couple Allens, it looks like, to help you out. Some cutters. These are really nice. And a couple screwdrivers. And what's this? spare blades for something. Oh, these are probably for the Filomatrix cutter on the tool head. That's probably what these are. But yeah, it's nice that they give you a little toolkit. I don't think that one. This one probably goes somewhere else because I don't know what these are for, but there's definitely play in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the bearings. I'm gonna see how wide they are, the bearings that they intended on you using, and see how it matches up to the other ones that I have here. So 2 of those, 1 of these. And they are definitely, if you can see this, one is definitely taller than the other. These are the ones from Fabrico that I got. There's definitely a little bit of a difference. Let's see if these are close. These ones are actually from West 3D and they are exactly the height that is needed. So something to keep in mind, the ones from Fabrico are a little bit too tall. Okay? The ones from West 3D that they have, they are the perfect size for the bearing stack. So that's what we will be using. Same thing, let's check this real quick here. Let's see if these are. And the ones that come in the package, these silver ones that you'll see, that these are cogged as well with the notches. Okay? Those are a little bit smaller than the ones from West 3D. So the ones from West 3D are a winner, which kind of stinks because I only have 2 of those. And the other ones I got from Fabrico because they had them in stock. So let's see how these go in here. So M5. So actually I'm missing 2. Takes 2 of these. Okay, so take this one here. And on these washers, you'll see that there's a smooth side and then there's a side that's a little bit not as smooth. You want to put this one side of the smooth side, because you're going to have to use 2 of these. One of the smooth sides towards the head of the bolt and one of the smooth sides towards the bearing. Okay? And this actually like locks down too hard. So I'm wondering, we got the shoulder bolt that goes through the two washers into the bearing stack, through the nylon gasket, and then screws into the other side. So I want to see how it looks with the bearing in there and how it feels. Because that right there feels like it's a little bit, I'm a little skeptical on it, to be honest. Because it definitely was way too tight and was not as free as it should be. So let's see how it deals with it with the actual bearing stack that they intended on it going. See, the bearing stack is, it fits nice in there. Yeah, it fits nice on there. It rolls nice. So I'm gonna have to make a decision because I don't think I'm gonna be using these. And I think it's purely because of the shoulder that's on the inner side of this bearing here that you can't really tell that it's a shoulder from, unless you can see it. But there's a little lip right here on the outside that those washers are supposed to butt up against, and then to allow this to spin freely. But it is on at least this one from Fabrico and this one from West 3D. It sits flush with that. So you'd have to get a small, like you'd have to get a reducer washer that would go on there next to this one in order for it to work the right way. Or else it's just not going to work that way. Because these bearings, for instance, the bearing, you can see where the black is, and then where that inner race of the bearing is. That's what I'm talking about. So the washers go and butt up against that, and then the outside of it is purely just a black rubber covering the actual ball bearings. So let's see. Try something here. Yeah, see, the inner race and the outer race on this are way too close that the washer ends up hitting it. And then it locks it down. And we definitely don't want that. Same thing with this. Let's see. Yeah, it's really close. Let's try it one more time. Let's see. I might just end up putting the bearings that it tells me to put on there, just for the mere fact that it's not gonna work. I just had this on there, and I'm just trying it just one more time just to be sure that that's what was happening and I wasn't doing something goofy. when you lock it down, it's very hard to spin. Very hard to spin. So I will be using the bearings as they intended. I'm going to try one of their bearings to see if it makes a difference. Even though it was a little bit smaller, I'm curious if it makes a difference. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the same problem here. I could run to the store and get different washers. I definitely could do that. Yep, still the same problem. It moves, but it's not as free as, it's definitely not as free as the bearings and how the setup of the bearing is versus these. And it's all because of the space between the inner race and the outer race here. So the edge of the black and just the width of the bearing itself, that's the problem. If this right here, the inner race, stuck out a little bit, it might help the cause, but that's the biggest problem, is the washer that they provide is a little bit too large, and it actually covers the whole thing. Okay, so when you lock it down, it locks down on the outer race and the inner race, not allowing it to move. If it was a couple millimeters smaller on the outer circumference of this washer, it would be fine, because then it would just be locking the inner race down. But since it isn't and it's too big, it locks both down. So even though these are the right shims, I'm going to see if there's a different shim that they have, that they provide, that will allow this to work. There are different size shims. There's a 5x9 by half. Then there's a 5x9 by 1. So there definitely are different size shims. But in the diagram, it shows 2 1.5 washers. So, and I mean, this is for the Z tensioners, so it's not going to be like super crucial. You know, if it like shifts a little bit or something, like it's just going to be pulling it up and down. And if it moves in the Y, it's not really going to be super crucial because it's on the rails that are mounted and it's just pulling it up and down. It won't be able to move this way or this way. But let's give it a shot. Let's see what we got. Curiosity killed the cat, so the worst that can happen is I get bad friends. Let's see if it calls for these shims anywhere else, like these other shims. Okay, so in the next one, when we start doing the Z-axis motors, it calls for the 0.5. Okay, so it calls for the 0.5 in the motor assembly. I'm going to try the 0.1 on here and see if that makes a difference. To see if that's how they intended on it going or what. Well, oh, there. Here we go. Trying to see if I can get this one in between the idlers that I got from Fabrico. Because those were the ones I intended on putting in here, but the ones from West 3D, because they only had 2 in stock. So yeah, it's definitely not going in. No. The nylon washer is just a little bit too thick for it to fit in there. So I'll be reaching out to Fabrico to see if I can get a refund on these because these don't work. They work, just not for the application that I'm using them for. These ones, let's see if this works. The one from West 3D. Because now we have a 1 mil shim instead of 2 or 1.5. Yep, these spin perfect. They're just a tiny bit of slop between them. Not much at all. I really don't think that that's going to make a difference, but it is free flowing. So, it's a shame that this doesn't fit in here. No, no. Nope, these ones from West 3D are perfect. They actually resemble the ones that they give you in the package almost to a T, except the ones that I got are black. They are a little bit taller. The ones from West 3D, they're a little bit taller this way, up, down. But the ones from Fabrico are just a little bit too tall. Just a little bit. So yeah, I'll be reaching out to them to see if I can get those returned. I'm gonna check the smooth ones. See if the smooth are the same thing. Yep, the smooth are the same thing. So they're definitely just a little bit too big. You know what? I wonder if I take a 1.5 and a 1, and if it'll clean this up. That little bit of play in there. I'm gonna try. See if it'll clean that up just a little bit. Nope. No good. So yeah, it definitely does not like the 1.5 shim. But the 2 1 shims. Let's see. Yep. That one's good. Yep, those are very free moving. Well, that's a shame because I only have 2 of these. I have like 6 of these. Yep, I got those, and I had the smooth ones. We'll have to see if the smooth ones fit on the other pieces that I was going to replace on the motor side on those assemblies. We'll see if those still match up. Let's see. Shoulder screw, 4x7 nylon gap. Okay, so these go in here. 1 shims going here. The 1.5 shims go here. And I'm gonna leave 2 out because I'm gonna try the bearing stack. I think I'm gonna end up putting the bearing stack on. And then when I do a tear down at some point of the machine, then I'll go ahead and replace these with the proper stuff. At least I'll know what I need and what works and what doesn't. So let's see. So we got this with 2 1.5 shims. Yeah, with the bearings, there's no play at all. If it fits perfect, it's not even a question. So I'm gonna have to put these on, and that'll be good enough. It's just the way it's gonna have to work because these are perfect. So rather than mess around with this, unless I can find an exact replacement to that bearing stack, I don't think it's worth changing the design of this, of how they intended on it to work. So yeah, it looks like these are going back. Yeah, these just fit. They fit perfect. And I think I'm going to put Loctite in these just because it's a bearing, it's spinning. I'll just do a little dab. I'll back the screw out a little bit and I'll put a dab in there, and I'll get all of them together though first. And it seems like that they give you 2 extra of everything, which is great. You know, a lot of companies only just give you 1. And I just speak on behalf of like other things that I've put together, like IKEA furniture, stuff like that. It usually only has like 1 extra in case something happens. I know I haven't built a piece of IKEA furniture in a while, but I remember last time I had to, you know, reach out to them and let them know in a review, and they were like, oh, well, you know, we just put 1 extra in there, and it's like, all right, well, that 1 extra wasn't enough. Okay. But it is nice that they at least do 2, just in case the 1 that they plan on being a spare is not working good. All right. Those are all good. Now I'm actually going to back them out. And then I'm going to put this Loctite in there. After I tighten the screw on my screwdriver. The 4mm came loose. I had to tighten it yesterday. Now the 3mm came loose. Get it down into the treads. All right. Okay, that one's good. We'll give it another bump just in case. Okay, perfect. A little bit too much on that one, but comes out the top. So at least it's not going to go down towards the bearing. That's why I'm putting it onto the top and not on the screw, because I don't want to have to put it through the bearing stack. Somehow that blue Loctite gets caught in that bearing. And I should use a paper towel, but what else are shorts for, right? All right, so these are all done. So these are good to go. We got two that go this way and two that go that way. Okay. Those are good to go. I'm gonna put these back in their little bag here, so I can let them know that I need to either return those or something. I'm hoping that's not the case for the, I got the black ones for the motors. I hope that's not the same case for that, but well, I guess we'll find out here shortly. So we'll put these back over here. I think these 5 shims, I think they come in later. So let's see, push for the top, tension. Distinguish from left and right. Example as shown in the diagram, left 2, right 2, right there. Left 2, right 2. Okay, so now I'm going to call that a wrap with these, and then I'll do the video for the 2.1.2Z motor assembly. I'll have that be another video just so I can break it up, and it gives me the time to go grab the pieces right out of this box here. I'll grab everything I need as I did here, and then I'll go ahead and get going with it. So Thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you in 2.1.2 Z motor assembly. Hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.